Or rather, some companies will say that I need to share the data. In that case, you will have to go and perform on certain specific machine types, which we will talk inside our VPC or VPC peering. Okay, so sharing the data is a bit difficult, but unsharing the data is a reality and you can never share the data. But maybe, like some finance companies will say, that I need the data and I do not want to share my machine with anyone else. You can charge me as much as you want. In that case, the only option that you have inside AWS is your dedicated host. In short, if you go and allocate a dedicated host, this whole server or machine is only kept for you. By the way, this is the only place inside AWS where AWS will go and give you a complete physical server fully dedicated for your use. So a complete physical server for you, and you can use it as you want, as many servers as you want. And important thing is no other server or instance will be placed inside that specific server. This thing is known as a dedicated host. You will never tell, at least in the interviews, that you worked on dedicated host, except you go to a company which is a bank or a finance based company. Those people love working on dedicated host, and the reason is pretty straightforward. Because I want that my data shouldn't be shared. Anyhow, the data wouldn't be shared. But nonetheless, for your mental peace, if you want to think that the data is not getting shared, you can always go with a dedicated host. That's the concept of dedicated host. Just choose the type of instance which you want. Just choose the instance over here, which type of instance you want to create, and then in which zone or availability zone or data center you want to place it. Now, this thing AWS is going to keep separate at such a level that even if it fails, AWS is not going to take any action. Why? Because remember, this is your server. AWS is not touching it at any point of time. So in case, let's say that my server went down, I have to go and reboot the machine. If you want AWS to do it, by default, AWS will not do it. But still, if you want AWS to do it, you can always go and check this box of host recovery. In short, it means AWS will go and simply reboot the machine if there is any failure observed on your machines. That is your dedicated host. Next up comes up your capacity reservation. Pretty interesting. And the reason is, let's say right now, okay, we started our class when we talked about our region of Mumbai, where we saw we have T2, T3, T4. We went to Stockholm, where we had T3 and T4. We went to North Virginia, where we had T1, T2, T3, T4. Or rather, we started when we talked about Mumbai, which had R4, R5, and R6. We went to Stockholm, which only has R5. We went to North Virginia, which has R1, R3, R4, R5, R6. So in this case, if you are going for these type of instances, which are pretty old, like T1 type of an instance, that even if you go to North Virginia, as of now, it will not be visible. You will have to go and do multiple things. Check all generation families over here, this, launch. Then if you now go down, you will have to go and check all of these things over here. Then you will have to select what is the machine type over here. And after some time, the older instance types will not be available for you. So T1 instance type, even though it would be present, would not be shown to you now. And the reason for that is pretty straightforward. Very old instance, AWS is not going to keep it because managing those instances is even more expensive for AWS. Older machines, like have a lot of issues: management, maintenance, security, software patches. kernel package, hardware. This all becomes a mess actually to manage for my EC2 instances or for any server which is old generally. So I obviously do not want to manage the old instances. So what AWS will do, it will reach something known as end of life, EOL. In short, AWS will say that, see, starting from 2024, I will not be working on T2 instances. They will be discontinued. Now, your thing is that the client has told you explicitly that no, I have to work on T2 micro instance or T2 large instance only. Why? They will say my software is optimized for T2 large, which is working on Intel processor, which is working on 2.6 gigs. It is optimized for my GP2 volume type. It is optimized for my specific machine. So I have to work on T2 micro itself. You might tell them T3 micro is faster, T3A micro is cheaper. I am not saying T4G, remember, because T4G is Graviton, that won't work only. So the client is saying, I need T2. You tell them T3 is faster, use it. T3A is cheaper and faster, use it. And the client will say, no, I want to work on T2 only. And on the other hand, AWS has told you that in 2024, I will be discontinuing T2. So what do you do? The client needs T2. AWS is not going to give you T2. So in this case, you have two options. Either you tell the client to do a migration from T2 to T3, which will do two things for them. The machine type will become faster, the processing will become faster, and it will also be cheaper. So either ask them to do that, or secondly, you go and tell AWS that I need T2 instance after 2024. The way to tell AWS is go for something known as a capacity reservation. In this case, just go and create a reservation and tell the instance type which you need. For instance, in my case, I will go for a take anyone. Let's take fine. Let's take R4 large, pretty old. So R4 large instance, I will tell that, see, I will need this instance in 1A, 1B, or 1C. I am saying 1A, and I will need it until this specific time. Let's say I need it until 2026. Until this much time at 8:24 a.m., I will be needing. So what AWS will do now? No? AWS will keep a R4 large instance for you in AP South 1A until 1 August 2026 at 8:24 a.m. IST. It is going to keep that instance running until then. Running as in it will keep the instance available. Whether it is running or not, that depends on you. Maybe you have stopped the instance, then how will it run? But in short, this is what is meant by a capacity reservation. By the way, this can also be manually. In that case, virtually, AWS will keep this instance forever until you go to AWS and tell them that I do not need the instance. So in a specific scenario where the client says, I need this instance type only and nothing else, and this should be available to me, and you are unable to convince them that there are better option types, in that case, you go for something known as a capacity reservation. Just remember one thing over here. In this case, these instances are charged for on demand only. Now you might say, I will go and get a reserved instance or a RI or a savings plan for it. In that case, I will be charged less. The answer is no. If you go for a capacity reservation, whether you have bought a on-demand instance, whether you have bought a reserved instance, whether you have bought a capacity planning or a savings plan, whatever you buy, in that case, I will go and charge you for on demand only. The reason is pretty obvious. AWS is putting in a lot of effort just to keep that instance running. So it will charge you for the pricing of on demand. That is your capacity reservation, or how you can go and ensure that this instance type is always running until the time that I have provided. So I do understand a reserved instance where I can go and buy for 1 year or 3 years and save approximately 80% of the price. I do understand the concept of dedicated host, where a standalone physical server is kept for my usage. I do understand a capacity reservation, wherein AWS will ensure that this instance type inside the availability zone of my choice is going to be kept or available until the duration that I give. These three things are the billings plan. Now let's go for an interesting one, which is a SP or a savings plan. Now, the problem with reserved instance, if you go and buy a reserved instance, or henceforth I will be calling it as a RI. So RI you will take for what? Let's say R5 large, let's say M5 large, let's say C5 large. So if in case I have taken for C5 large and I want to upgrade, so from what? C5 large to C6 large, C6 large to C4 large. If I want to do a upgrade or a downgrade, that can be done. See, inside my RI, if it is standard, then upgrade is not possible only. However, if it is a changeable type, or if it can be modified, in that case I can always migrate. But R5 large to R5X large, R5X large to R5 2X large, R5 2X large to R6 2X large, that is possible. But you say I want to upgrade from R5 large to T4 large, that is not possible. So in that case also, if you are going for an instance that can be modified, in that case between the family you cannot go and update. But your concept is that maybe I need to do upgrade. At that point of time, I thought R5 large is good for me. Now I realize it's not that great for me. In that case, I will have to go for a C5 large or a C5 2X large. So how do I get the best price for that? In that case, my answer will be go and take another RI or a reserved instance plan. Or rather, my answer would have been prior to 2021, after which AWS came up with something known as a savings plan. The concept is easy actually. I will still give you a specific amount AWS. Hourly, I will pay you $1. Monthly, daily, I will pay you $24. Okay. For a month, I will pay you 24 into 30, $720. Into 12, I will pay you $8,640 AWS for the whole year. Now, in this $8,640, when I have paid you, know, you have to give me the best possible price of whatever I am using. I might be using 2T3, one N5, one R4, one C5, one I3 instance, or I might be using 10 T4 instances, or I might be using a mix and match of whatever instance type I need. So AWS, I will be locking in some amount with you. When I say locking in, it simply means I promise that I would pay you this much amount for every hour. You have to give me the best possible price using that instance or for all the instances in that region. Or by the way, if you pay attention, savings plan over here, no. See, EC2 instance, whatever we did till now was regional. Reserved instance, region. Dedicated host, region. Capacity reservation, region. Savings plan, if you click, it is at a global level. So what do I mean? I buy a R5 large instance in Mumbai, and tomorrow I need it in North Virginia also. My customers are working in California also. In that case, the people, those who are in Mumbai, also need the server in North Virginia or in California. In that case, I will have to buy a new reserved instance there. No. If you opt in for a savings plan, in that case, you just have to go and purchase a savings plan. Tell them I need it for 1 year. and hourly I am ready to pay you $1. And I will pay you everything right now as it is. Somewhere around like we had calculated $8640, somewhere around that. If you go and click on add to cart, that's pretty much it. You pay AWS $8,760 now, and you can get the best possible price of your instances scattered across any of the AWS regions. The beauty of this is why the companies have started using it now. I don't have to apply brain which instance to use: T4, R5, C5, M5, R6, C6, G instance, A instance, N instance, I instance, R instance, D disk instance. Nothing. Use whatever type you want because already upfront payment I have done. AWS will give me the best possible price anyway. Now, even if you click on submit order right now, nothing will work out until you pay the bill to them. So do not do this, but at least in the companies, remember that savings plan is being used now. Now, the reason for that is in the interviews, they will ask you about the billing. And if they ask you about the billing, means at the architect level, they will ask you at least. Fresher and less than 4 to 6 years, no one is interested in asking you billing because these decisions are made by architect themselves. So basically, if you go with a reserved instance, it is also cheap. Savings plan is also cheap. Me personally, until 2021, I used to work with a RI or a reserved instance. But now savings plan, because now we have so many instances, it's not possible for me to sit with each and every instance and think about what the instance type should be. So now we go with a savings plan. But then again, mathematically, which one is actually better? If you look at the decimal places, no, mathematically still RI would be the best. Let's take an example. So I was going with a instance over here, which was a R5 class, right? If I go with on demand, how much I have to pay? $100 into 12, which is 3,000 or $1,200 multiplied by 3 years, it would be $3,600. Same thing if I go for a standard RI where I pay everything right now, I only have to pay 1285. Same thing with the convertible, I have to pay 1609. This we have already calculated that, okay, a convertible would be slightly expensive. Here, slightly means $300, but slightly expensive as compared to my standard. And the reason is that this instance type might change. But my primary things is have a look at this one. I have to pay 1285. Same thing if I go with savings plan, I have to pay them 1603. And with instant savings plan, I have to give 1287.22. So that's the reason I said mathematically RIs are still the best. How much is it? 1285. How much is this? 1287.72. So if you deep dive, no, you will see that RIs are still cheap by $2.72 for a period of 3 years. So one year it would cost you 90 cents better. At a month, it will charge you 7 cents better. Now, this is such a small amount that it doesn't bother you much. $2 and $3 for a duration of 3 years doesn't bother you much. But nonetheless, if you say that Ankit, RIs are equal, so your reserved instance over here and EC2 instance savings plan over here, they are the same thing as it is, right? I will object. I'll say not exactly same. There is always a difference. RIs are going to remain the cheapest one. And it's pretty obvious because you are telling me what exact type of instance you need at what exact duration for how much time you need. So RIs are going to be cheap, not as cheap. So RIs versus this is going to be cheap, but RIs versus instant saving plan is still cheap somewhat. So just for this now, why did I change from RI to a savings plan? Because Here 1287.72, here 1285. So just for $2.72, basically less than $1 a year, do I need to beat my head and think that this instance should be R5 large? No, it should be R5X large. No, it should be a C type of a instance. No, it should be R or T or M or Z or X or I. No. Earlier we used to think. Now it's not required only. Straight away go and buy a savings plan. At max, you will save also, and you will get the best possible instance at the best possible price also. But again, one last time, remember, mathematically, RIs are still the cheapest option. That is your savings plan. Pretty interesting, at least from the interview's perspective. Next up, spot request. Again, a interesting concept. And the reason for spot request being interesting is, let's take this example. So let's say you go to a donut shop and you buy some donuts from them, let's say at 6 p.m. Might charge you $1 for a donut. A box of 12 would charge you $10. So $1 if you buy them separately, so total it should be 12, but they give you at a discount, so you get it at $10. Same thing you are doing in the evening at 11 p.m. when the shop is about to get closed. So the same thing which you ideally get at $12 box at $10, you might get the same donut box only for $4 or $5. And the reason is the shop is getting closed. If you do not eat it today, the product will not be available until tomorrow. Basically, it's of no use to them. So they will give it to you at a very extreme discount. But there's a problem with this approach. You start going there every day at 11 p.m. You might get it every day for $4 or $5 only. The problem is you can't be confident that this is always going to work out. Maybe you go after 5 days to the shop and you ask them the same for $5 and they will say, sorry, today it has been sold out completely. I do not have any extra donuts. Today I can't give you. In that case, even if you try to give them $12, the thing is that they don't have only the thing available with them. In that case, you might not get it. First thing. Second approach, in this case, let's say you went to the shop at 11 p.m. You said, I need the box of donuts at $5. I go to the shop and I tell, I will give the same box or I will take the same box for $6. I will get the box. At that moment, you say, no, I will give you $7. At the same moment, I say, fine, I will give you $8. Actually, what is happening over here is bidding. We both are bidding for the same price. And by the way, if someone walks in and says, I will pay you full $10, which is the normal price of this box, the box will go to them. So remember two things. I might get it at a cheaper price. I might not get it at a cheaper price because maybe it's not available only. And I might not get it because someone else has done the bidding for the same at a higher. These three things, if you understand, this is exactly what we mean with a spot request. The concept here is, so let's take an assumption that AWS has 100 T4 instances inside Mumbai. So if AWS has 100 T4 instances or 100 T4 servers, these servers would always be running. They would never be stopped. Whether anyone is using it or not using it, 100 servers would be running. 100 T4 servers would be running. Let's say 70 servers are being used as of now. 30 servers are not being used. In that case, AWS might give you these 30 servers at a very cheap price. These type of instances are known as spot instance. The only disadvantage with this approach is you are just trusting the system that 30 instances will always be available for me for use at a very cheap price. This might not always be true. And secondly, in this scenario, if someone else goes and does the bidding at a higher price, in that case, they might get the instance. So spot instances are very cheap, honestly. Means they are as cheap, they will almost match your savings plan and reserved instance. So why don't I always take a spot instance? The reason is there is no guarantee I will always get it. Why? Two reasons. Maybe I don't have any server available only now, or secondly, maybe someone else has done the bidding for the servers at a better price as compared to me. In that case, spot instances are not going to help. So in that case, if you want to go with a spot request, you just have to go click on spot request. Tell them what type of operating system you need. Like you saw the other day, Ubuntu, Amazon Linux, Windows, RHEL, SUSE, whatever you want, you can take. Tell them how many instances you need. And basically tell them that, see, I will need maximum of 4 CPUs and maximum of 8 GB RAM. Okay. Now AWS is telling you that, see, don't worry. And if you want, you can give it lowest price also, or you can say for capacity optimize. Capacity optimize simply means if I have given you a R4 large, I will try to give you a R4 large. If not, then R5 large. If not, then R3 large. Okay. Similarly, if I have given you a T4 small, I will try to give you a T3 small or a T2 small or a M1 small. M1 small is not there now. So T2 small or T3 small or T4 small, T4G small rather. Okay, or a T3A small. That is what is meant by capacity optimized. I will try to give you similar type of instances. But you say, no, I need it at the lowest price. Fine. I will give you multiple instances. So why does it say that this is 21 and this? Have a look. What did I say? How many CPUs I need minimum? 0 up till maximum of 4, RAM up to maximum 8 GB of RAM. So AWS is saying I can give you a C4 large, C5 large, C5A large, C5D large, C5N large, C6A large, then M5 large, M6 large, then M6I large. I have these all available instance type. I can go and give you any one of them. This thing is actually important. Why? You go to the donut shop and you say that I need a box of donut. They will say, see, today I don't have the strawberry ones. I might give you blueberry ones. Or maybe I might give you the mango ones or the pineapple ones. Or maybe jackfruit ones. Or basically any of the donut I might give you. And you said, no, I only need the strawberry donuts at the low price. So the probability of you getting it actually goes down. But if you are wide in your options, you say you give me any 10 donuts which you, there is a better probability of you getting it still at a lower price. The same thing over here. Okay. You say that, no, I will decide which exact instance type I need. So let's say I only need a C5 large instance. Have a look over here and let's say C5 large 2, 4, and okay, let's say I only need these. So how many types are there? How many instances are there? One, two, three, four. Four instance types are there. How many availability zones are there? Three availability zones. So what is the probability of you getting an instance? 1 by 12. That is why it says strong over here. Okay. Now you say that no, I don't need C5 4x large or 9x large. I only need C5 large and this. In this case, still I might give you, but the probability of you getting it is very low. These two instances scattered across three availability zones is 6 instances actually. So that is what AWS is prompting you. Remember, there is a low probability. You go to the shop at 11 p.m. You are looking for cheap donuts also, and you only need a blueberry donut. In that case, you are so stringent on your condition, there is a very high probability of you not getting your desired thing also. Same thing with the spot over here. Best thing is AWS says you don't think, you just said 10 donuts, right? I will try giving you the blueberry ones honestly, but don't take it as a guarantee. But the advantage is how many options I have now? 21 options. For sure, you would be getting an instance if you go for this plan. And the beauty of Spot is very cheap because you are getting things at a cheaper price for the instances which are not being used. But the second thing, what happens if the instances are not available? My answer is I have 21 instance type. It is hardly a possibility. But your question is that fine, assuming that still I don't have the instance available. 21 types are there, all 21 have been used, and basically I am not left with any instance type. What do I do in this scenario? The answer in this scenario is your instances would actually be stopped. So if the instances are not available, anyone has taken it at an even higher price as compared to you, and no instance is available. If all of this happens, I will ideally move you to a new instance type. Assuming none of these things are working. I don't have any instance available also. AWS is not giving to me at any other price also. In that case, what will happen? Easy. AWS will simply stop your instance and it will keep it stopped until it has an instance which matches your price. And the moment it has, it will again start your instance. You do not want this. You say that AWS is stopping. In that case, do not go for a spot instance. In that case, go for RIs, SPs, dedicated host, capacity reservation. So spot request is good when you need an instance, but if you get it, good. If you don't get it, that is also fine. In that case, you go for a spot request. Example is when you go for testing, stress testing, load testing, when you go for these types of testing, no, in that case, you go for your spot request actually. Because if I get the instance by then, good for me. If I do not get the instance by then, that is also fine. So in that case, you go for something known as a spot request. Now, instance types we have already seen in the beginning. Launch templates we are going to go and see once we create something known as a AMI or Amazon Machine Image. Tomorrow, we will be talking about our instances where, see, earlier it was a bit difficult when you had this old experience, no? You had to go and select multiple things. But even if I tell you about this, doesn't make any sense. The reason is you anyhow, everyone is going to go with the new instance only, okay? Why? This AWS is anyhow going to remove it. Okay. So by the time you start working in AWS, you would be working on the new AWS EC2 experience itself. So tomorrow we will be talking about the AWS console and how do we actually create a server. Till now, stories we understand. Savings plan will save amount. RIs will reserve the instance for 1 year or 3 year. Dedicated host is my own server. Capacity reservation means the instance will not be deleted until this much time. The spot request will give me any unused instance or a server at a very cheap price. Theoretically, we understand the concept. But what when I want to go and create the actual instance? That thing happens tomorrow. Any question if you have? Also, tomorrow's class would be extended by some 10 to 20 minutes, I'm pretty sure. The reason is once I start EC2 instance, I have to ensure that I complete it because breaking it into two classes will actually make it difficult for you to understand. So just be mentally prepared, the class might extend if in case we are unable to do it in one. That's pretty much it. Any questions if you have now? Okay, then fair enough. I'll see you tomorrow, 8 a.m.